Hi, how's it going everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of Antibiotics Chat Over Coffee. Now before we get started, I hope everybody had a great time enjoying the last episode that we made, because we are looking to re-collaborate with all the experts that we will be interviewing over the course of this show. Now this week we're at the legendary Gracie Barra Academy. Why is it legendary? Because it is the top school in the whole world for learning the martial art of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And today we're going to be interviewing the Academy's top instructor, Professor Victor Estima. This is induction into the biotic universe. Okay, so I'm here joined today with the legendary Professor Victor Estima. Professor, thank you so much for taking the time out to be joining us today.
My pleasure, Adi.
Thank you. So I can already tell it's already really busy upstairs as well with all the pounding going on.
That's right. We have on our first floor, we have our competitors preparing for the European Championships. That's going to happen in 2 weeks in Lisbon, which is one of the biggest tournaments in the world, like top 3 tournament in the world.
Fantastic. Well, wish you all the best for that one.
Thank you.
And before we start, I want to say congratulations for all the accomplishments you've made here as well. Because I remember you had the old gym, which was a little bit further up the road.
Yes, that's right.
Congratulations for the new gym.
Thank you very much. There was a lot of work that was involved, and we got the whole team coming together, supporting to this become a reality. Yeah. I believe that when I first began my project in the school, I only could do what I could at that time. I was beginning my journey living in Nottingham. Was coming as a competitor and try to also develop myself as a professor. And the building that we got was really good for the start, but I knew that was just a temporary place where I dreamed to give the best training facilities as possible for my students. And today I feel like our premises is proportional to the level of the students that we have and the history that we're writing. So it's not the definite place, but it's definitely what it is now, and hopefully we'll continue to raise the profile and raising the quality that we can provide for our members and the community of Nottingham.
Good luck. I wish you all the best for that in the first place.
Thank you, Ad.
So we should get started. So what inspired you to start learning martial arts?
I think my story about learning martial arts probably slightly different to a lot of people. I was born in Brazil, where sports is something that's very, very important for us. Every kid in Brazil learn, that we want to be footballers. So I went through that process of trying to making football when I was a kid. But even though I was doing football, my dad introduced me to Judo at first. So I already knew about martial arts. So I already was inspired by, I used to watch the Olympic Games and watching Judo coming on. I used to think that is incredible and beautiful. I used to admire so many of those competitors. And that was the first seed planted in my heart about martial arts and how incredible it is. But at that time, having access to top quality tuition was something that you could find very easy. So then if you don't have the right type of people around you to inspire to accomplish further, it's very hard to even dream what you can become and what you can do. I always thought that things like that never happen to people like me. That's basically the perspective that I used to have. But as I grew up older, I was able to connect with different things. I have an older brother who was also passionate to the same things as I am. So as being older, he was able to find about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And as he found about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, he was always trying to get me to training. But at that time, because I was a little bit of a teenager, I wanted to have my own opinion about things. So I didn't want to do what my brother wanted to do. So I was stubborn and I wanted to do different things. And then I had the opportunity to try to do different sports and try again to see if something that I could fit better. And then I basically tired myself down. My brother went to a tournament in California at that time. He became the first Pan-American champion in my city ever, and in all sports. So the first gold medalist. And then I was like, oh my God, this is an incredible achievement. I feel like my brother is the same genes as I am. We got probably the same ideas. So you know what? I might just give it a shot. He inspired me to do something. And then I stopped being stubborn and I gave it a shot in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And ever since then, I've been training twice a day. And I immediately started my competition career on 4 weeks after my first day of training. So and everything's just kept going.
Congratulations. What does the name Gracie Barra mean?
Gracie Barra is a lot of people ask this question. It's quite a different name for British citizens to recognize, but Gracie is a family name. It's a family name of the most famous Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu family in the world. They're the people who got adapted the traditional Jiu-Jitsu from Japan. They arrived in Brazil, and they developed and created a new version where the smaller person can really use technique and leverage to overcome bigger people, and they create a legacy. This is not something they've done over 10 years, they've done it through a lifetime, where they proved its efficiency for many years, and today Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is all over the world, in every single continent, and then it's true because of the Gracie family. And our founder, Gracie Barra's founder, is Master Carlos Gracie Jr., which is the professor of the original Gracie Jiu-Jitsu school in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro. But it used to be run in Copacabana, but when he decided to move to the place called Barra da Tijuca, which is another area in Rio de Janeiro, he created a new name where it could represent where he's actually establishing himself. It would be a name that he would take away his first name out, and you would just maintain the legacy of the family, at the same time using the geographical location to embrace the community. So other people from different parts of the country, different parts of the city, and even different family member, which was very predominant with Jiu-Jitsu, they could feel part of it as well, as they would identify themselves with the Gracie name, but not with the first name. So it was already from the day one, he wanted to create something that everybody could be part of. So Barra is the area of Rio de Janeiro, and Gracie is a family name.
Brilliant. And what other martial arts have you learned in the past?
I did practice Judo when I was a kid, but I only did as a kiddie level. I'm a pure Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu athlete. I have, in the past when I was a teenager, when I applied for scholarship, as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was not yet recognized by the governing bodies in Brazil in the early stages, schools would not recognize as something that they would support with the scholarships. So the only opportunity for me was to apply for a Judo scholarship, even though I didn't practice Judo since I was 6 years old. Not 6, but 8 roughly, because I did train from 6 to 8. And at that time I was a teenager, and I only practiced Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I was competing Judo for my school in a state championships. So I was basically trying to create a hybrid crossover between my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills versus Judo, where I was able to represent well the Judo on that time, but I never really got my black belt. I was just like an orange belt at that time, but I was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu blue belt in that time.
Brilliant. And how many championships have you won since you started martial arts?
Since I started martial arts, because in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu you got colors in your belts, and everything's like at the amateur time where you're a blue belt and you're a purple belt and then you're a brown belt. I've won state championships, and I won silver medals in Brazilian championships, and I became silver medal in the world championships and a blue purple belt. I won some different titles. As a black belt, that's the times where I really count, because this is my professional career. I was fortunate to win like the world championships, no-gi in 2011, European championships. In 2012, Pan American Championships, 2006. I had also the opportunity to win 4 times the silver medals in the World Championships and 6 times bronze medals in IBJJF World Championships. So those third places and fourth and second places might seem like coming short, but in regarding Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, those tournaments, they're like very prestigious, and the majority of the people in the world, they spend the whole career and never get a medal in those places. And through 10 years, I was able to medal consistently in the top 3 in every single major tournament in the world. And I came out with some gold as well, so which is good. It's a few ones. Like I like to measure myself with the world scene and world titles, but of course there was plenty of nationals and British nationals that I was fortunate to win every time I competed. So
fantastic. So what's the difference between Judo and JiuJitsu, even though they're both grappling martial arts?
It's a very good question. Judo is also part of the chain of Jiu-Jitsu, which is basically almost the mother of martial arts, where he embraces like the takedown effect and also the grappling effect, the groundwork, and also weapons. This is traditional Jiu-Jitsu. So what happens is the Judo is a segment of that developed themselves to be specialized in takedowns. So through the years, they became really great athletes that are good in taking people down. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, we were like more focused on the self-defense aspect of what happens after the takedown. And then every match, every combat begins standing, eventually falls into the ground, and everybody would ask what would happen then in the ground. And the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is this specialized form of fighting on the ground after the throw. So we also have takedowns with the purpose of taking somebody to the ground, looking for submission, which is an arm lock, chokes, which a lot of people tend to see when you watch like mixed martial arts events, and you can see what happens when you clinch and after that. But today, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is also a sport as well as a self-defense martial arts, where we prioritize, exactly what I said, the after. The Judo rules, you finish on a takedown. If you put the opponent on their backs, they get the win. Or they get a submission too, but they have a very small window to deliver the Niowaza, which is the ground part of Judo. And in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, we begin standing, we can score a point for takedown, but then what happens after the takedown, the question mark. So we continue all the way through submissions and controls on the ground. That's basically the major differences. They're all both incredible martial arts, but they're different rule set. Judo became an Olympic sport, and they're very defined about throwing the same way wrestling was. So it creates a really good correlation on how entertaining it is to take somebody down. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu didn't have that same appearance of being as exciting to the eyes as something with the big throws and things like that. But nowadays, with the education of mixed martial arts around and doing different things, people know more about it. So they can appreciate how incredible the Jiu-Jitsu is and how technical, how interesting it can be, because people understand what it is when somebody's on the ground. We were discussing earlier that sometimes people think that when somebody's grappling on the ground, they feel like somebody's hugging each other and there's no much action going on. But it's an incredible amount of techniques and understandings. The only thing I can define is like a chess game that you play in different movements and different times and angles, and it looks like it's not on purpose, but everything's on purpose. So,
fantastic. Thank you very much for today. I want to say a big thank you to Professor Victor Estima for taking the time out.
No problem, Adi.
And we're hoping to re-collaborate with him again in the future as well. So if you are walking around here, I think this is a great way of gaining confidence, self-discipline, and self-belief as well. It's the whole point of martial arts. So again, if you're around here, Gracie Barra, the top school in the whole world for learning Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and you got one of the best, you got this academy's top instructors to be teaching you everything you need to know. So until next time, pick up the article.